As we continue and begin to consider what the kingdom of God means for us, let's also consider what this word even is, kingdom. The word kingdom, in so many ways it denotes a royal power and rulership in the Bible. It's not democratic, where choice is implied, but it's like that of a governing king bringing his rule with him. Let's consider even the governing powers of Jesus' day and age. You have the Roman Empire, which was really dominating and oppressing Israel at the time. You also have local ruling bodies in Israel, which, among others, would include the religious leaders of that time. I don't always think we recognize the Sadducees and the Pharisees as actually ruling bodies. They were political in a way, in the sense that in some Muslim countries today, you have less of a separation between the religion and the state. There's an integration there. In the sense that for the Sadducees and Pharisees specifically, they established the criteria and the standards for what it meant to live in Israel at that time. So for Jesus to say that this kingdom, and again, this rulership, this royal rulership that is coming, for him to say that that kingdom of God is here now, automatically we should contrast that kingdom to the other political entities of his day. His kingdom has something to say in contrast to these other kingdoms, these other empires and governments. It is something to say about politics, albeit from a different dimension. As it says in John 18, verse 36, it says, Jesus' kingdom is not of this world or realm. Jesus' kingdom is not of this world or realm. What I think Jesus means by this is in contrast to the ruling parties of his day. His kingdom is upside down. It operates according to completely different principles to what we might often expect in our political systems. And when Jesus was mounted on the donkey coming to Jerusalem, he was announcing that he was the real king over Israel. And really, by extension of that, he's the king over all things. He's the king of the entire world. But what's interesting is it's not with armies that he comes, but with gentleness and meekness on a donkey. His kingdom is of a different world in a different realm. As Americans, where we divide the sacred and the secular, where we separate church and state, it might be hard for us to imagine that the kingdom of God is something to say about how we should even view government and politics. What typically happens is we end up in a vacuum of wisdom. We end up with no true reference point for how we should engage government and politics in our world, and really social issues in our world. Because of this, I think we tend to revert to a limited and shallow way of thinking, to the limited and shallow conventions and categories that are given to us. But the kingdom of God, our true government as Christians, again, we should see, if we have a government as Christians, if we have a political party as Christians, it is the kingdom of God. And as our true government, it gives us a different way to view things from a totally different dimension, a different way of seeing things. So let me ask you, if Jesus' kingdom is a form of government rule, albeit God's government, what does that mean for the way you view politics? What does that mean for the way that you view politics? As I said earlier, Jesus' kingdom operates on different principles than would typically be expected of an earthly kingdom or government that is here to take control through force. So what does that actually look like? We'll talk more about the way that Jesus' kingdom acts in the next videos. As always, feel free to comment, email me, or connect with me. I'd love to hear your thoughts and questions. Thanks.